What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Emens. Back out with another video, and today we're going to be doing our June 2025 monthly check. And for those who are new to the channel or new to my monthly checks in general, it is where we rank every single movie that I saw last month that were both new releases and films that I'd never seen before that other people had seen before, and I will rank them from the worst to the best. After that as well, we followed up with my overhaul, which is the new stuff that I got this month, and then after that, we will look at the new pictures that I've drew that are on the ceiling, which I've won. But before we get into actual beginning of the video, it's stuff because we're going to lose subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm, recommend the video to more people, and maybe they could join. And do feel free to comment your monthly checks down below. But with that being said, guys, we're going to let me just take a quick drink of water and tell you guys how much new releases I saw last month. I saw a total of 16 new releases. All the rest are movies that people have seen before that I've never seen before. Alright, so saw a total of 23 in total last month. Coming in at number 23 for the worst movie I saw last month, and easily up there for me for... It's a four-way tie between this film and three other films for my least favorite film of the year. Coming in at number 23, I have Brideheart. Brideheart. So for those who do not know what this is the newest Rebel Wilson action comedy that came out. That's like Die Hard at a wedding, essentially. And yeah, it was terrible. I didn't enjoy a single thing about this film. I don't think any of the humor was funny. I didn't think any of the acting was good. I thought all of it was terrible. I thought the story was terrible. Everything on every single level didn't work about this film. I will never watch it again. Or if let's say if somebody had a gun to my head saying you have to rewatch one of your least favorite, if they said you have to watch one of the movies in your bottom four of the year, which one are you going to rewatch? I wouldn't hate rewatching this one over the three I have over it. I would still probably want to choose Alexander and the Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Road Trip over this one, but still, that I don't want to rewatch that movie either. So I would not be happy, but if my life was on the line, I'll do it. Do not force me to rewatch Kinda Pregnant. Anyways, but that is the only outright bad movie I saw this month. Now we get into sort of the mid/okay category. So coming in at number 22, the Unholy Trinity. So this is actually a modern day Western film with Samuel L. Jackson, Pierce Brosnan, and then also David Arquette's in here in a little small role. And it was just a mid-Western that is watchable, but you'll forget about it the next day. Simple as that. I think the best part about this movie is for sure Samuel L. Jackson. I think he delivers a fun performance in here, and you can tell he's having a blast in the role. But pretty much aside from that, it's just formulaic Western stuff. So it's not a bad movie, but it's just a very forgettable movie. Sorry, my pillow fell down. Number 21, I have Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2. Not Part 1, not Part 3, but Part 2. So, story to this one is I got the 4K Steelbook of the film last month, which you'll see a little bit later on in the video when I show it off. And I saw it was like at $15 or something like that. So I was going, oh, that's a steal for a Steelbook. So I'll go ahead and buy that. So I did. And even though there was Part 1 and Part 3 still on 4K Steelbook, but this one was like the cheapest. So I was going, probably they made it the cheapest because it is the middle chapter of the film. Anyways, so what are my thoughts on the actual film? I think the first half of the story was very, very slow for me. But when you get to the later half of the film, I think the action scenes are quite good in this one. There's where it jumps back and forth. I think the whole entire battle between the Bat family was awesome. However, it has a part problem. What do you call it? A chapter problem. You know how there's the movies that have more than one part? It has that problem where it ends and I don't feel a single part of the story has been resolved. It's kind of the same thing as, like, let's see. There's a bunch of part 1 and part 2s that have done that for movies. There's only a rare few exceptions where I was going, okay, I think it ended where it needed to end. Like Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, I think ended where it needed to end, which I can say a lot less about Part 1. So, yeah, that ending infuriated me on the film, and it was very, very slow. But maybe Part 3 and Part 1's better. I don't know. I don't have those films yet. But when I do watch them, possibly they'll be better. I don't know. Coming in at number 20, this is actually a film that is actually a film I will review later today, or at least hopefully. That, of course, being Superman and the Mole Men. So for those who do not know, this is actually listed as the first theatrically released Superman movie. So this is the Superman from 1951 or the 1940s. I forgot which year. So watched it for the first time. This is the only Superman movie that I watched for the first time in this review series. So, and it was just, it was, I didn't, like, it's, I was a lot more forgiving on it than most people because it is from the 40s after all, so it's very, very dated compared to nowadays where where we've had full-fledged Superman movies that are a lot better than this. But it's fine. I think George Reeves does good as both Superman and Clark Kent in here. I think that the Mole Men are very sympathetic characters. However, some of the special effects are laughably bad. They're incredibly dated. They might have been great for the time, but they're incredibly dated. There's literally a scene of somebody, like, holding a camera, and they're pretending Superman's flying, right? And you can just tell they're holding it to the side while they're moving on a tram or something to make the effect that Superman's flying. And it doesn't even show Superman in that. Yeah, it was Coming in at number 19, I have Deep Cover. So, you probably don't know what this movie is either, do you? It is actually a straight-to-Amazon Prime movie, and it was okay. Bryce Dallas Howard did good in it, and Orlando Bloom has a very funny performance in here. Other than that, I don't remember anything about this movie. I would rewatch it, sure, but I do not remember anything else about this. Now, we're getting into this start of movies that I actually like/love. So coming in at number 18, I have Straw. So this is straight to Netflix film, and I think the main lead actress did phenomenal in here, and she's certainly a character you want to root for. However, it is a very tough watch, I will admit, because the whole entire center of the story really is just her going through the worst things possible on one singular day, where everything bad is happening to her imaginable, where she's poor, she loses her house, she loses her daughter, and she can't watch after her, then she loses her job, then as well, she loses everything, essentially. And it's just a very, very hard watch, because you're seeing this person go through all these terrible things. And I was going to give it a pretty positive review because I felt all the emotions that the character was going through. However, the ending of the film I found unsatisfying. I'm not going to spoil it here, but it just left off on a sour note, like a depressing note that I didn't think warranted for a movie like this, where the character is just going through everything bad the whole entire day. And it's just, man, why'd you have to make it even more depressing, even though she went through all this crap basically for nothing? Anyways, that's number 18. Number 17, I have Dangerous Animals. So, I don't necessarily think this is a great shark movie, but I still think it's a very fun one. Jay Courtney does great in the main villainous role. He's a lot of fun. And he goes balls to the walls crazy a couple of times throughout this film. All the shark sequences I thought were very intense, with him dangling these people into the ocean little by little with this crane. I thought those were very intense sequences. The final girl in here was pretty solid. So, yeah, it was an entertaining time, but it's not one of the most smartly written movies of the year. That's all I'll say. And here on up, I'd say these movies are good. So, coming in at number 16, I have Predator, Killer of Killers. So, this was a straight-to-Hulu film that is an anthology of multiple events with the Predator. I loved the first two stories that you had in here. The other two the other two stories in here I thought were lackluster. The fourth one isn't really a story. It's just combining all the three stories that happened together. But the third story I was underwhelmed by, in the final act of the movie I was, underwhelmed by. Even though I think the thing that it sets up at the end was really, really cool. And I'm excited to see the route they go with the next Predator film in this franchise, whether it's animated or not. So, yes, solid recommend for me. I thought it was really good. Number 15, I have Elio, so the Pixar's newest animated film, and it was solid. I enjoyed my time with it. It's not one of the Pixar's best, but it's not one of Pixar's worst either. It was just solidly down the middle, just there to entertain you. I loved all the world building with the aliens in here. I think Elio is a very charming character in this film. The voice acting as well, of course, great, and the animation of course, great. However, it doesn't have enough bite to it that makes it stand out compared to other Pixar films that came out in recent years. Like, I would say I enjoyed Elemental a little bit more than this, but I still enjoyed this, and I wouldn't consider it a bad movie. Number 14, I have Megan 2.0. I still prefer the first Megan by quite a bit, but I still think the action scenes in here were fun. I think Megan as a lead character in here is fun, and she's very, very enjoyable, and I would like to see more of her in sequels after this one, because I think she was definitely very funny and compelling as a main character, as the good guy now. Amelia was a solid enough villain for her to go up against. And yeah, it was just solid. It's not one of the best. I don't think it's necessarily better than the first Megan, but I still enjoyed my time with it. Even though the acting does feel as if there's some people in the film that doesn't feel like they want to be there. Anyways, I'm not saying names. Number 13, I have The Phoenician Scheme. And I was massively disappointed by Asteroid City in 2023. That was easily one of my most disappointing movies of that year. But Phoenician Scheme I actually enjoyed. Benicio del Toro does great in the main role. I think Wes Anderson's directing, of course, is still awesome, and is still a very unique style that he has with all the films that he films, of course. It has a very star-studded cast, whether they're big roles or not. So you have Michael Cera in here, you have Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Scarlett Johansson, Benedict Cumberbatch. I could go on and on and on. There's plenty of people in here. It was just a solid enough fun time. Number 12, I have a first-time watch, and that, of course, being Rudy. And Rudy is a funny one, because I've had this film in my, not in my collection specifically, but in the family cabinet that has been there forever. But I have never been able to see it. I've always seen it there, but I've never watched it for the years I've been on this earth. So, finally watched it, and it's a solid underdog story. I do admit, I think the ending of the film was a little, underwhelming, because I was expecting Rudy to do a lot more in the game than I thought he was, but other than that, it's actually based off a true story, so that's what happened with Rudy. Sean Astin does great as the main role in Rudy. There is some really good, there's also, you have people in here that were, before they were big megastars like Vince Vaughn, so it was cool to see him in a very minor role in here. So, yeah, I enjoyed Rudy. Number 11, I have The Materialist. So this is like the new I was about to say something. The new, the new romantic, love triangle movie, essentially, with also female hitch added to the film. That's what essentially I got from the trailers. All three of the main leads, Chris Evans, Dakota Johnson, and Pedro Pascal, do great in their roles. There's you can definitely buy into their relationship because how flirtatious they are off screen for like all the interviews that they have for this film. You could tell that they were trying to really lean into these characters for this film. I think the moments in here were quite funny. There were some solid funny ones. So yes, I enjoyed this. I thought this was a great little romantic comedy or romantic drama, whatever you want to call it. Top 10, people. Number 10, I have From the World of John Wick, The Ballerina. I still think it's probably my least favorite out of the John Wick movies. If not, I enjoy it a little bit more than the first John Wick. But it's still a great John Wick movie. I love his role in this film. They feature him, I think they use him enough where it's not where you want more of him necessarily. It feels like he serves his purpose for this film. Ana de Armas was very great in this role, and I would like to see her back in a possible sequel after this. All the action sequences, as usual with the John Wick franchise, even though I was disappointed in the Continental, it had some great action sequences too, and there's no different here. There's some great action sequences in this, so yes, I enjoyed this film. Even though I do admit, I felt as if there was a little too much action in this film. Number 9, I have How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake. So, of course, I love the original trilogy. But when they first announced this, I was going, okay, those movies aren't even really that old. The last one just came out in 2019, so why are we doing a live-action remake to this so soon? But I was also a little optimistic at the same time, because it was DreamWorks' first ever live-action remake, and it wasn't Disney doing a if Disney was doing a live-action remake of I must be. You know how they're doing a live-action remake to Moana? I'm more skeptical. Since it's DreamWorks' first live-action remake, I had a little bit more optimism because maybe they could do it. And also, it was done by a lot of the same people that did that original film. So I was winning optimistic. And yes, it was great. I still prefer the original film by a wide margin, but that's one of the greatest animated movies of all time. So that's a really high bar to reach. But I loved the cast in here. I was expecting the cast to be good. That's the number one thing I was expecting out of this film. Mason Thames as Hiccup did great. And the thing with him is from the trailers, they made it seem like where he was trying to do the main voice that, the original Hiccup had, where he kind of has, I can't kill drag. I can't do the voice, but you know how Hiccup sounds in that original trilogy. I was going, oh, please don't do that. Just do your normal voice and I'll be fine. And yes, he does his normal voice in here and doesn't try to do an impression of the previous dude that voiced Hiccup. So I enjoyed that he did that with the character. Nika Parker as Astrid might be a hot take, but I actually preferred her portrayal of Astrid compared to the original film. I think she did a great job, and I've been a fan of her since The Last of Us, and she did phenomenal in that, so she does phenomenal here. Gerard Butler reprises his role as Stoic in this film, and he does a great job at playing the character in live-action form, and I'm glad they kept him. Nick Frost in here has his role, too, that I thought he was fun in, so it's always fun to see Nick Frost in something. So, yeah, and the the actual flying sequences in this film were very, very well shot and very cool to see on the big screen, because the only How to Train Your Dragon movie I was able to see in theaters was the third film. So I didn't really get to experience the flying sequences of the first film when it came out, because I was only like maybe 2, 3, or I was very, very young. That's all I know. So me able to experience the actual flying sequences on the big screen in Dolby was something else. So I think those scenes definitely warrant seeing this film in theaters. I will, however, admit, as for cons of the movie, it's still pretty much a shot-for-shot remake. They do add some new scenes in here that I did enjoy, with the whole entire learning how to fight a dragon. I enjoyed those sequences. However, it still felt too much like a shot-for-shot remake, but still thought it was a great film nonetheless. Number 8, I have F1. So when this film got announced, I was going, okay, yeah, this is probably gonna be good, but I probably won't love this thing. But then because it's another formulaic story of a sports biopic underdog story. So I was going, okay, another one of these movies. I mostly do enjoy those, but I'm kind of tired of the trope. But it is one of the better versions of that for sure. Brad Pitt delivers a great performance in here. The guy that directed Top Gun Maverick does a great job at directing here, especially with the racing sequences. Oh my goodness, they were awesome to see on the big screen. And yeah, pretty much everything about this movie really, really worked. I do think there was some slow moments in between here and there, but other than that, I still thought it was a great movie. And it's basically, how I'd essentially explain it is, it's Top Gun Maverick with Gran Turismo. So, I walk into the movie expecting that. Number 7 was actually a first-time watch. I missed out on this film in 2023, but I was finally able to see it the last night, actually, and that was Oppenheimer. So Barbenheimer was, of course, a big thing, but I only was able to see Barbie that month. I wasn't able to see Oppenheimer. It was just a little bit later than expected, so I wasn't able to see it, unfortunately. But finally saw it, and it is a very masterfully made movie. Cillian Murphy definitely deserved his Oscar nomination from 2023. Same goes for Robert Downey Jr. in the supporting role, kind of the antagonist towards Oppenheimer in here. He did a great job. As well, the surrounding cast, of course, is great. There's so many notable actors in here that I was going, hey, it's that guy. Hey, it's that girl. I remember her from stuff. It was cool to see all these people in the film. So you have Jack Quaid have a small little performance in here, and this was before he reached kind of mainstream. He was doing The Boys at the time, but he didn't really do any movies like he does now, where he's known for Companion and Novocaine. So it was cool to see him in a little minor role. Then as well, you have Dane DeHaan, which I've always been confused how to pronounce his name. I apologize if he's watching this video, which I don't think he is. But Dane DeHaan, who I recognize from Valerian and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I hadn't seen him in a movie in a little bit, so it was cool to see him back in this role. The two main love interests of this film, that of course being Florence Pugh and Emily Blunt, were both great on screen, so it was cool to see them in here. So, yeah, and also the bomb sequence itself was phenomenal, and I bet it was amazing to see in Dolby. Music in here, awesome. So, the only negatives I have with the movie is it is slow at points, and keep in mind, this movie's 3 hours long, so it was kind of hard to evade that, wasn't it? As well, I think the film jumped I think it jumped back and forth a little too many times in this film, where it was jumping back from the past to the present, past to the present. I thought it was doing that a little bit too many times. Well, other than that, still a phenomenal movie, and definitely deserved all the award praise it got in 2023. And it finally gave Christopher Nolan his much warranted Oscar win for Best Director. All right. Number 6, just edging out the top 5, I have The Life of Chuck. So going into this one, it seemed as if it was going to be a movie I would enjoy. I actually hadn't seen any of the trailers for this, because they rarely showed it. I saw maybe one trailer, but that was pretty much it. All I knew was Tom Hiddleston was in it, and it was based off a Stephen King short story, but it's not horror. So I was going, huh, interesting, because I always have known Stephen King as a horror story writer. So going into this one, I had no clue what I was expecting, and yeah, it was a great film. Another one of those films that basically yeah, it basically makes you enjoy life. And look at life and say, man, something else here. That's the best words I can put into it. Tom Hiddleston does great in here. For the limited time he's on screen, most people are expecting him to be in here a lot. He wasn't, but for the limited time he was on screen, I think he did a great job. The film is told in 3 halves. The first half is focusing on sort of current day, and then it's basically told backwards. So it's current day, Chuck as an adult, and then Chuck as a kid, essentially. Which I think the first half, after sitting on it a little bit, I do enjoy it. Originally, I wasn't a fan of it, but I do enjoy that first half now, even though I still think there's moments in that where it does feel slow. But once you get to actually Chuck's story, I think they did a great job at telling this character's story, and he was very, very fascinating and very interesting. The main dance sequence with Tom Hiddleston in here was great, as well as some of his backstory when he was younger. I thought it was quite interesting. So, yes, coming in at number 6, The Life of Chuck. Number 5, I'm going to tell you right now, these 3 movies are back to back to back. So if you want my shorter thoughts on these films, because I already talked about them in my ranking, be sure to check that out. But we have the 28 franchise. So coming in at number 5, I have 28 Days Later. This was actually a film I had never seen before, and I wanted to watch the 2 movies before the new one, obviously. So, watched it, yes, and it's a phenomenal zombie movie, even though most people get triggered when people say zombie movie, but whatever. I consider them zombies, and this is the first actual movie that I believe introduced running zombies, and for that reason, the zombies are scary as all heck in here. And those are my preferred zombies. I much rather prefer the faster ones than the slower, stupid ones for movies wise. If we were in real life, that would be a different story. And on which ones I prefer, I would much rather prefer the slower ones in real life if I had to choose. But in the movies wise, for entertainment value, I would like the faster ones. So you get that throughout this whole entire franchise. Cillian Murphy, I believe this might be his first ever movie role. If that's the case, he does phenomenal in here. I think the side characters as well, quite good. I love the twist reveal that it kind of goes into later on in the film with this whole entire military group. That was definitely interesting. I think the final act of the movie as well was awesome. So yeah, 28 Days Later is actually my least favorite of the trilogy. But I just want you to keep in mind that these 28 movies, I think are all 4.5 out of 5 movies. I think all of them are phenomenal. So just keep that in mind. We're in the phenomenal phase right now. Coming in at number 4, I actually have The New Dog, 28 Years Later, which is an interesting one to talk about because most people have been walking out 50-50 about this film. And not necessarily people disliking it, but there's been people that say this is massively disappointing. I was expecting a lot more from this film, but even though I fully acknowledge it's a well-made movie and do enjoy it, then there's the other half that fully love this film. I ended up going on that side. I loved this. I thought, aside from the ending being a little weird and tonal shift, I was originally going to say, oh, this is my favorite out of the trilogy right here. But it didn't end up quite going there, as you'll see in a minute or two when I talk about the next film on the list. how the zombies evolved in this film with this new concept that they add in, I'm not going to talk about, with these, like, alphas, if you will. I thought they were absolutely intense, and I thought they were scary. Especially the ways they kill people in this film, I thought were absolutely brutal, and it was a flashback to another sort of 80s style horror movie character that I thought was cool to flashback to. I think all the characters were interesting with Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer's character, and the Alfie Williams as the main lead character, Spike, in here. Can't wait to see more of him in the 2 up-and-coming sequels. Ralph Fiennes as well plays a very, very minor character in here. I thought he was cool and a very interesting character, where if they wanted to do a prequel exploring sort of his story, I would definitely be intrigued to check that out if they do that. So, yeah. Coming in at number 4, I have 28 Years Later. Number 3, I have 28 Weeks Later. So this is actually my favorite of the franchise, and I think it's actually a quite slept-on sequel, because I don't hear most people talking about it, but for me, it's actually the best of the franchise. The opening sequence of the movie is definitely one of the greatest opening sequences I've ever seen to a horror movie. I thought that was a great way to introduce the film. The cast in here, of course, as well, was pretty good. You have Maura McTaggart from the X-Men movies in here. You have Jeremy Renner in a army sort of role. He was I would say out of the characters, he was the most interesting one, so it was cool to see him in that role. You have Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time in here, so who was the person I knew was going to be in this film originally, so that kind of hooked me. So I was going, oh, it's cool to see that character, that actor again. The zombie chase sequences again in here are absolutely terrifying. There's one that's literally like pitch black, where I was going, oh my goodness, that's really scary. So yes, 28 Weeks Later is my favorite of the franchise. Number 2, I have 10 Cloverfield Lane. So I've always seen clips of this movie on TV, but I've never sat down to actually watch the whole entire thing. But I'm glad I finally did watch it, because it was a phenomenal movie as well. Mary Elizabeth Winstead does great in the main lead role. John Goodman in here as our antagonist was awesome and very intimidating as well. The tense moments with him especially definitely were quite thrilling in this film. Yeah, it was a great claustrophobic little thriller with mysteries that soon get revealed later on in the movie. So definitely, yeah, number 2, 10 Cloverfield Lane. But number 1, if you would have told me this was my number 1 at the beginning of the year, I would have told you, well, it's not my favorite movie of the year. I just want to clear it up. But if you would have told me this would be in my top 5 favorite movies of the year, I would have told you, what the heck is wrong? What? There's a movie like that coming out, and what are you smoking? How do you think that's going to be for me? But number 1, I actually have K-pop Demon Hunters. So going into this one, I basically had no, I literally thought it was just going to be a throwaway Netflix film that I'm probably going to rant about on a review or whatever, and then completely forget about it. Or just, it's going to be a throwaway Netflix movie that I'll not even remember in whatever. Because most of those streaming movies are. But I'm here to tell you, I think this is one of the best anime movies I've seen in a couple of years. I thought this was awesome. This is the best anime movie I think I've seen since The Wild Robot. I think the animation in here was phenomenal. I'm not really a big K-pop guy. I would just like to make that clear. I don't hate K-pop, but I do enjoy the music. However, I don't listen to it frequently. So I was going, how is this going to be for me? Because I don't listen to all that much K-pop. But the actual songs in here were awesome. The animation, as I said before, was awesome. The main story in here I thought was good. The main dynamic between the two teams that you have in here was interesting. I just loved everything about this. I couldn't really come up with a negative of the film. I thought everything was well executed, and it will go down probably as my biggest surprise of the year entirely. I think it beats everything because I literally expected this just to be or oh, that's terrible, but it was actually great. So coming in at number 1 for the month of June, K-pop Demon Hunters. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we go into my overhaul, and then we will follow it up with the new picture that I have on the ceiling. So, overhaul means the new stuff that I got this month. So, let's talk about the stuff that I got from the family cabinet. So, let's get these here. So, of course, I got Oppenheimer, which I talked about already, and I wanted to see the film, so finally saw it for myself. Of course, great film. Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, it's okay. I just basically got it from the family cabinet to complete the Hunger Games movies, even though I'm still missing Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, even though I don't like that movie. So this one's an okay conclusion to the franchise, but still, I don't love it or like it. I like it more than Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, but still not a fan. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice in here. I got it specifically to add to my Superman movies, so I can do my Superman review series as I've wanted to do it since the new David Cornsweet Superman movie's coming out. So, Greatest Showman. Well, this is the greatest show. I haven't seen the film in a little bit. I think the music's good, but overall it's just okay movie to me. Even though that's one of my dad's favorite movies of all time right there. Spider-Man No Way Home. Great. Do I need to say anything else? Great way to encapsulate, great way to introduce Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to the MCU audience and bring them back into the fold, so that was cool. Maleficent, it's been a little bit since I watched this, but I actually do think this is one of the better Disney live-action remakes. Angelina Jolie killed it in the role. So, yeah, I enjoyed that one. This is a movie I do not own, but recently got added to the family cabinet. Dark City. I have no clue what this is. It has Jennifer Connelly in here, so that piques my interest because that's the only one I really realize. Oh, it has Kiefer Sutherland in here. Huh, interesting. But I have no clue what that is. All right, now for the stuff that I actually got. So my dad actually got this for me at some store or whatever. So Last of Us Season 2, of course, ended last month. Yeah, I think it ended in June. If it didn't end in June, it ended in May. I'm pretty sure. I forgot which month it ended in. But anyways, he got this little book here talking about the making of the show in the first season as well. So you can see like little pages there. So thank you, Dad. Appreciate it. So we also got some movie merch up in here as well. You might be able to see. So I got the How to Train Your Dragon IMAX poster right there, as you guys can see. And then below it as well, I have the Wicked. Hold on, I'll show you the Wicked for Good poster right there. So. Yes. So posters as well. I think that's wait, did I miss a poster? Hold on. Wicked for Good poster. How to Train Your Dragon poster. Yeah, that's pretty much all the posters, yes. Okay, so I got all the posters taken care of. Now, we get to some of the other movie merch that wasn't posters. Oh, and I forgot to mention the Lilo and Stitch poster, too. So this is actually a poster for Elio as well. So, and on the back it has a full-on Lilo and Stitch poster. So, yes, that's the other poster that I forgot. I was going like, I knew I forgot one. But anyways, the movie merch at the AMC that I got besides the posters. How to Train Your Dragon popcorn bucket helmet. I can't really wear it and connect it right now, but you see it right there. Now we got 2 popcorn buckets, which I'm Which one do I talk about first? All right, let's get this one. So in celebration of Jaws and its 50th anniversary, they got the Bruce popcorn bucket right here. That looks awesome. There's tape right here, so I don't want to fully open the mouth and totally move the jaw away. So, yep, there's the Jaws popcorn bucket right there. Now, this popcorn bucket's cool, and I didn't really even buy this one. My friend Ace, shout out to him, gave it to me, I should say. And shout out to him because I think this popcorn bucket's cool. But you got the monkey popcorn bucket, so he bought this for me. So that's awesome of him. So it would be cool if it could wind up, but yeah, I ain't complaining because this is probably the popcorn buckets I've gotten of the year so far. This is my favorite popcorn bucket I think I've gotten. So, and I enjoyed this movie, so you know. Anyways, now we go on to the physical media. So, physical media that I got and bought. So I have a funny story to tell with one of these, which I'll save that one for last. But and then we'll move on to my picture that I have on the ceiling. So let's talk about our WWE Blu-rays first. So I only have two, as I usually do. WrestleMania 26 Blu-ray. I haven't watched any of these matches yet, which I know is shocking to say because Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels Part 2. How have you not watched that match? I've watched the first match. That match is excellent. I'm expecting the same from the second match because the second match, of course, is as well very, very well regarded. Then you also have Cena versus Batista here for the WWE title. Edge and Jericho for the World Heavyweight title too. Then you also have the way less regarded Bret the Hitman Hart versus Vince McMahon in a no holds barred match where Vince McMahon just gets beat up for I think 20 minutes or something similar to that. Anyways, but yes, I heard that's a terrible match. Then I actually have a WWE Blu-ray upgrade from my DVD, that being WrestleMania 29 Blu-ray, which have I actually watched all the matches on this card? Yes, I have, actually, yes. So I've seen all the matches here. So John Cena versus The Rock Part 2 is not as good as the original Part 1, but I still think it gets a little too much hate because I still think it's a really good match and it's entertaining. You also have Undertaker versus CM Punk, which awesome match there. Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger. Triple H versus Brock Lesnar in a no holds barred match. The tag team title match between Dolph Ziggler and Big E versus Kane and Daniel Bryan is underrated. I think that's actually a pretty solid tag team match. As well, the 6-man tag team match between Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Big Show versus The Shield was also quite solid. Oh, how could I forget Chris Jericho versus Fandango was on this card? So that match was on here too. So, which, yeah, still can't believe they've ever booked Fandango to beat Chris Jericho. Oh, Ryback versus Mark Henry too, which that match was. And Ryback should have got that match. Should have got that win instead of Mark Henry, even though I do like Mark Henry. I actually met him in real life, fun fact. Now, TV series. So we have only one, and that is the complete series of Justice League Unlimited. I watched this show once when I was younger. I watched it an episode, I think, but that's pretty much it. I didn't watch any of the rest of the show, so got it to watch the rest of the show. Now we also have, I'm gonna save the 4K Steelbooks for last. Alright, so we got ISS on Blu-ray. They didn't have a 4K or anything, so I just got the regular Blu-ray. I like this movie. After rewatching it, yes, I do like it. It's still not as great as I originally gave it. I gave it like a B. Now I dropped it down to a B-, the 3-star. I still think it's fun and watchable. Decent little thriller. But none of the characters are all that great or interesting. Maybe aside from one. But a very interesting concept, I will admit. No matter how you feel in the movie. In the Lost Lands Blu-ray. So I missed this movie when it came out in January. So I wasn't able to see it. Because January was already a packed month in itself for movies. So I wanted to make sure I watched all the other films first. So I didn't get around to seeing this. but I haven't watched it yet. So soon you'll hear my thoughts on it, but from what I've heard, not a whole lot of people like this one. So, yeah, hopefully it's a lot better than I'm expecting it to be. One of my favorite movies of the year thus far, The Day the Earth Blew Up on Blu-ray. I'm very surprised that they made this a limited release, because this deserved to make so much more money, because I loved this film. I was walking in expecting to like it, but I wasn't expecting to walking out loving it. But I do love it. I've actually rewatched it 2 times since I got the Blu-ray. I showed it to my brother-in-law and my sister when they came here not too long ago. And as well, I did watch it in my room by myself one night. So, yes, I love this film. I'm a big fan of Looney Tunes, so I enjoyed that. Rudy 4K Steelbook. So you, of course, heard me talk about this film in my monthly check ranking there. And yes, solid underdog story. But really cool 4K Steelbook, though. So, and I knew I had to get it. And I think it was only like $25, something similar to that. So I definitely enjoyed that. That's part of the collection. Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2 4K Steelbook. So I loosely talked about this earlier. Cool steelbook for a meh movie. Hopefully Part 3 and Part 1 are much better than that, hopefully. Then probably the biggest purchase of the month. That, of course, being the Longlegs 4K Steelbook. So I saved this for last for a reason, because it was funny. So, story with this one. I put it in one night. My dad and me had seen it. My mom had not seen it. So we decided to put it in one night. And for some odd what reason, so we put it in. Then we're seeing, I thought the movie was starting or whatever. But then on the actual TV screen itself, it was just Longlegs moving back and forth down this little hallway that has this old VHS style kind of to it, where it was all staticky and stuff. And I was going, and it was just doing that for a couple of minutes. I was going, what's going on? Is this just possessed or something? Because it's kind of ironic, because you know how Longlegs support it. In the movie, Longlegs is a worshiper of the devil. So I was going, did I purchase a cursed Blu-ray 4K Steelbook of this? I hope not. Or purchase a bad version of this. So I got nervous. Then we put it in again, and it was still doing the same thing. But then once my mom, I think, looked closely at the 4K Steelbook, the actual disc itself, she realized there was a handprint on the disc that I had made on it by accident. So she was going, oh, there's a handprint on there. So we put it back in, hoping that it wouldn't do that again. And funny enough, that whole entire sequence of Longlegs just walking back and forth down this little hallway was all just the main menu. It just didn't show the bottom part, like play, movie, bonus, features, or whatever. It was just all that was blurred out because I had my fingerprints on there. So that was why it didn't work. But thank goodness it did work. I finally played this movie again, and yes, it's still great, Little Murder Mystery, even though I'm not a fan of how it decides to not go grounded anymore at the end of the film. Anyways, still a great film. Glad I added it to the collection, and a very sick 4K Steelbook with a nice little slipcover as well. So that is the bonus, that is the, why am I blanking? The overhaul done. Now let's show off my new picture that I have on the ceiling this month. And the new picture I have on the ceiling this month is Cool Runnings. Yeah, man. Which I love that movie, by the way. That's probably among my top 50, top 100 favorite movies of all time. Love Cool Runnings. It's definitely one of my favorite Disney movies. Anyways, that is my June 2025 monthly check. As you can see, I'm definitely out of breath. That was a very, very long video. Hopefully you all enjoyed this. And with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Peace out.